Michael Lev, Garrett, now do you have that? Or you already erased it? The graphic with the two divisions. You don't have it? All right. This was a year ago in June. We may not have the graphic or the image. Michael Lev, Arizona Daily Star, put up two different divisions in the Big 12 that included the schools that are right now involved in maybe being a part of it. Michael, thanks for your time. I know you've had a busy day in the next few hours as well. What are your thoughts about tonight, the board meeting, and how things seem to have changed, especially with Arizona State?
Yeah, we definitely seem to be headed in a particular direction. Maybe I and others saw this coming as far back as a year ago. But even then, it didn't seem as real as it does now. I would say that it's more likely than not that Arizona and Arizona State are going to leave the Pac-12 for the Big 12. I mean, saying that it could be as low a chance as 51%, but that seems like and feels like the way things are headed right now. And that might be the death blow of the Pac-12 as we've known it. While that's going on and Utah might join them, at the same time, the Big Ten is exploring the possibility of adding Oregon and Washington. And then there'd basically be nothing left, which is, I think, an unfortunate outcome because we kind of love having our own deal over here on the West Coast with the Pac-12. But, there's also exciting possibilities for Arizona in the Big 12. I think it's actually a pretty good cultural fit. It's a pretty good athletic fit. It would be a hellacious basketball league and a really fun football league, too.
So, Michael, what's your read on the situation and how quickly this gets done over the next few days?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to linger. I really don't. I wouldn't be surprised if there was an announcement of some sort as early as tomorrow, which is Friday. The Arizona Board of Regents is meeting tonight. They're scheduled to meet for 90 minutes from 6 to 7:30 p.m. I just saw that there's a meeting up in Washington as well tonight. I mean, I think we all know what they're talking about. They wouldn't be, scheduling these meetings out of the blue in the middle of summer if it wasn't about this very, serious and urgent topic. So I think things are going to move pretty quickly. I think everybody wants to have some clarity about what they're doing so that the focus can shift, away from that stuff and onto, matters on the field, which is really what fans and players and coaches care about the most.
You said that you may have gotten an inkling, and even the graphic, we had it earlier in the show, when you had up those two divisions with, I think, 14 or 16 teams, and you had Arizona, you had, I think, Utah, you had Colorado and ASU. Mm-hmm. Why did you think that early? Was it just the writing on the wall that you just felt like like you said, it just made sense?
Well, I think basically it was, how can the Pac-12 possibly survive without USC and UCLA? And I think that day you could sort of see the future. Like, this league just doesn't have much appeal. No offense to the Mountain West, but basically was rendered a rich man's Mountain West when you lose those two iconic brands. By far the biggest brand name on the West Coast in USC, UCLA, the most decorated basketball program in the history of the NCAA, the second biggest media market in America, in Los Angeles. So I don't think it was that hard to envision the Pac-12 falling apart when that happened. That was the first domino to fall. It just happened to take the better part of a year for the additional dominoes to fall. Colorado was the next one, and it looks like Arizona and Arizona State could be the next ones in line.
Michael, what did you think of when Michael Crowe had really dug his heels in on Arizona State, and the Pac-12 is where Robert Robbins, kind of said, this is what we want, and had a guidelines, and, for what he expected from the TV deal for them to consider staying in the Pac-12, but Michael Crowe was so dyed-in-the-wool pro-Pac no matter what.
Yeah, I don't know where Michael Crowe's from, but I do know that he's been at Arizona State for about 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Robbins has been on the job for, I want to say, 6 years. He's originally from SEC country in Mississippi. He worked for a long time in Houston. He's a mega sports fan. So he's coming at this from a little bit of a different perspective, I think, than a lot of the presidents in the Pac-12. Not that Bobby Robbins isn't like an academically oriented administrator, but he's also a big sports fan who's pretty knowledgeable about the world of big-time college athletics. So I think that was probably the main difference between those two, and maybe the main difference between Robbins and a lot of his peers in the Pac-12, and the reason that he's kind of become this pivotal figure who's leading the way and sort of seeing the light. I don't think anybody really, other than Colorado, which is kind of a special case because they were in the Big 8/Big 12 for most of their existence before the last decade. But I don't think anybody wants to leave the Pac-12. I don't think they want to break up. I think that the Pac-12 ineptitude has forced everybody's hand.
Yeah, this was self-inflicted, wasn't it? Many, many times, it's like they kept like paper cuts. Or eventually, it might have been like a power saw.
Absolutely. No question about it. There were any number of things that could have happened that previous commissioner Larry Scott or current commissioner George Krafkoff could have done along the way that probably would have prevented this from happening. You can go all the way back to when the Pac-12 was in pursuit of Texas and Oklahoma and didn't get that done for whatever reason. There was an opportunity a few years ago to do a deal with ESPN. They decided not to. They held on to exclusive equity stake in the Pac-12 networks rather than teaming up with an established broadcast company like ESPN or Fox. That's kind of blown up in their face. There was an opportunity to merge with the Big 12 a couple of years ago that they turned down, apparently. So all of those things could have saved the league, and they failed every single time, and that's where we are today.
Michael Lev again with us, Arizona Daily Star. My question, not to put you on the spot, but I'm interested. Who's the bigger fish here if both say yes, Arizona or Arizona State?
Well, I think they're sort of equally large fish. I would say that Arizona has a better all-around athletic program right now. If you look at men's basketball, women's basketball, long-term sustained success in both baseball and softball. Football's obviously been a struggle lately, but the program is on the rise. What you get with Phoenix, though, is you get with ASU is you get a really big media market and growing population base in Phoenix. So, I think that kind of balances the scales between the two. And that's why, they're both appealing additions for Brett Yormark and the Big 12.
Hey, Michael, thank you for your time. We appreciate it, and we'll see what happens tonight. Be in touch again, and then, heck, at some point, we might have you on, not just because of this, but because of future games down the road once we start to see if this turns like we did with UCF in Cincinnati, Houston, and Brigham Young. Thank you for your time. Good luck covering the rest of this, however long it might go.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Michael Lev.